Thank you very much for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear? Yeah? I'm going to be asking questions, so I expect some feedback back. First of all, a little bit about me. I was the CEO of Publicis Modern, the digital agency of the Publicis network. So I know a lot about digital and disruption. And then most recently, I was the managing director of Saatchi & Saatchi across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So I supposedly know a little bit about creative innovation. So the question was presented to me of, what is the future of marketing? Is it digital innovation, or is it digital disruption or creative innovation? Which one is it, if you had to choose? So a little poll before I get started. If you had to choose one or the other, which one would you say works best in this new digital age? Digital disruption, hands up. Creative innovation? Well, that's a good start. I think it's useful to really better understand what I mean by digital disruption, because actually it means a lot of different things to other people. And I think the best way to describe it is show you an example of it. Okay, so were you all familiar with that one? Does anyone know about that? Effectively, for the world first, it's very typical of digital disruption. You're using technology in order to disrupt in a way that is new and fresh and so forth, right? And that was really engaging. It's got a lot of PR around it. A lot of awards are talking about it. Question, did it drive the business forward? Did it really drive engagement beyond the people participating? I don't know. But it was certainly a digitally disruptive campaign. And it was a campaign. It had a start, middle, and an end. So let's talk about pure creative innovation, which you all went, yeah, if I had to choose, I would go for that one. So I'm going to show you an example of what I think, what that is.
Giant, born from the deepest entrails of the earth. I have seen life. I made life. I watched it flow down my flanks. I am strong, unpredictable, stronger than man. Stronger than time. I am earth, fire, water. I was here at the beginning, and I will remain here until the end, because I have no end. I am immortal.
I mean, that was beautiful. I mean, really beautiful. Cinematic, provocative, evocative, all those sorts of things. But it was a campaign. And it had a start, middle, and an end. And I think regardless of which extreme you're talking about, be it digital disruption or creative innovation, they both share common characteristics. They are campaigns. They are moments in time. Static, if you will. A lot of the time, they're around about driving to purchase, so pre-purchase in terms of what they do. They do utilize in different ways a multimedia landscape, certainly, but broadcast is a dominant force. And that's not necessarily, none of these things, by the way, are bad. They're just characteristics of what those two extremes personify. They do interrupt. They're screaming for intention, whether by inspiring or disrupting, but they interrupt. They're linear in that they are planned and organized and thought through in terms of the media strategy. And they're relatively passive in that the people viewing the engagement sit back and they consume. So if faced with a question like, do you digitally disrupt or creatively impact, which one would you have to choose? I would cheat, and I would say neither. I don't believe the future of marketing rests on one or the other. Do you need brand advertising? Absolutely. I'm not debunking any of that. But if I'm talking about the future of marketing, I think you actually need to kind of ask a different question. Why? Why do we believe that actually neither of those things work? What's going on in the landscape that actually helps us understand what we should be doing? Well, a lot of people talk about the new normal, okay? The World Wide Web has been around for, I think, it's calculated around 8,000 days. It's pretty young. And yet, a lot of things have changed. Mobiles have reached kind of ubiquity. You cannot now have a campaign without at least acknowledging, driving to, using smartphones. Cloud computing is now coming of age, and that has a profound impact on our clients' business and also how we consume content and use content. We all know social media, business media, and collaborating is becoming the norm. We're all embracing that. We're all tweeting, feel free, but we're all tweeting, we're all getting involved in that. The rise of on-demand business intelligence, recognizing that every business, every client has now a data cloud, tapped or untapped, but a data cloud surrounding that business that they either can take advantage of or not. We are living in an always-on lifestyle. Do you ever wake up in the morning and reach for your phone? That sound familiar? Plugging in, everyone's always on. If you're old enough like me, you'll remember the days of when you go home, you stop working. That does not happen anymore. Emails come through, texts, things like that on social network. And omni-channel experiences are now what brands aspire to create, agencies aspire to create. Why? Because we are going off to different channels and different devices. So that's the thing. All those sorts of things, I would argue, drives different expectations. We expect people actually to know about us, whether we've actually given their data or not, in a way. We expect to be treated in a way that we are seen as valuable, that we're not just a wallet, but we're a person. And the information that you can glean is valuable. And we're connected by those devices, by those social networks, by those aggregators, by the search engines, games, e-commerce experiences, communities, content creators, apps. Tapping into all those elements connects us, and we've got to recognize that. So how are we doing? How do you think we're doing? Well, the IBM recently put out a study, and they started asking questions on, do you believe that companies tell the truth in their ads? 75% said no. So advertising on its own is not doing the job that it used to do 10, 20, 30 years ago. Back then, there was a single truth, the advertising truth of the moment. Now there are multiple truths. We all have truths in terms of how we react to what a brand does and what a brand says. So when they asked the question to CEOs, businesses, how do you think you're doing? Do you think you're delivering a superior, excellent customer experience? 80% said, yeah, we're doing really well. Yeah. Game on, no problems. Okay, what do you think? They asked the same question to the consumers and customers themselves. How many do you think agreed with that question? Anyone? 20%? 50%? Anyone want to hazard a guess? 10? 10, wow, okay. Anyone else? I'm going to go for 10, all right. Pretty good. 8. 8% of customers agreed with that belief and premise. So I would argue we need to do more as marketeers, as businesses, to reach, engage our customers. Okay, so what does work? I believe creative innovation is critical. And you all kind of agreed with that, absolutely, right at the beginning. You need to be able to connect on a human level, on an emotional level. Absolutely critical in order to drive different experiences, emotions, and thoughts. But we've now come of age where data can help drive those and make those creative experiences more relevant, more potent, and more personalized. The future of marketing is around personalization, I believe. Okay? And you can do mass personalization. And I've got a case study which will kind of bring that to life. So what happens when you actually start to touch people in a personalized, relevant, engaging way? My company's got a consulting business as part of it, genuine consultants, kind of McKinsey, Accenture trained consultants who we keep locked in a room most of the time. But they did some analysis this year. And when you do personally connect and emotionally fulfill and create communications that are relevant, they are 8 times more likely to agree that the brand knows who I am. And what happens when you go into a room and you see someone that you know, you relax a little bit. Hi, good to see you. So that's actually quite relevant. 6 times more likely to love the brand and all that comes with that emotion of loving. 7 times more likely to agree that this communication is relevant to me. And you know what? That's not news for us marketeers. We all know when you're relevant, it's more sticky, powerful, and effective. But the key thing here is that most agencies, most businesses go, okay, well, thinking is on one side of the coin, feeling is on the other. And we kind of go, you know what? You never feel without thinking, and you never think without feeling. Thinking and feeling is one side of the coin. What's the other side? And that's acting. What behavior? What you do? If you get it right, you're 3 times more likely to use multiple channels. And again, that is important because people are using multiple channels. But if you're doing it for a particular brand, that means that the value of your marketing, your ROI of what you're doing, goes up. They're 8 times more likely to go out of their way to try a new product or service. Now, you know, when you've got businesses looking for product extensions, expansion sets, that is really, really important. You want people to go, you know, try us out. I would argue Virgin does this extremely well, right? I am a huge Virgin Atlantic fan. And by nature, they know a lot of data about me. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. I was in, where was I? Dublin. Got a call saying, can you go to New York for a meeting? And I said, sure, can you book me on a flight? Virgin, here's my frequent flyer program. They went, what are you talking about? They don't fly direct. You've got to go American Airlines. So this is what I did, and I promise you this is true. I went, hang on a moment, and I put down the phone. I then paid for a ticket by myself to go back to London, called them back and said, okay, can you get me on a flight from London to New York? That's how mad I am about how much I love about traveling transatlantic. Now, admittedly, that says more about me than anything else, but that's what we're talking about when you're engaged and you love a brand. So it's important. And of course, social is more prevalent, 3 times more likely to recommend for friends and family.